Blessings, everyone. Hetepu. We're coming to the a pause in our journey, as I am sure I will be back with more conversations about how to, let us say, raise your children with uh, greater spiritual knowledge and better uh, thoughts, better modes of functioning, better behavior, maybe helping to uh, raise them as more pro social beings. Um, we will be back to deal with health and wellness and maybe yoga and other topics, subject areas that you could find helpful to your life that you may be able to share with your extended family members. So, beyond the life with your mate or spouse, who else is important to the equation of your daily life? We need to understand how our life is ordered, or from a larger perspective, how life is ordered within the social construct of living as human beings. So, in the book of the Yi King, which again I will re-mention, was an entire system of divining that was developed by our ancient Black ancestors of China. It says the family is society in embryo. As the families go, so goes society. I think we can look at society today, and given the condition it's in, we are very clear on what has happened to the family. 75% of marriages or more ends in divorce. So we now know why the society looks the way it does. But life is ordered as man and woman come together, they give birth to children, and the children go on to replicate the same. They come together, they find a mate, they have children, and so the generations go on. So this particular area that I'm going to talk about is really focused around how we need to engender and nurture our children so that we can stop the generational blight, so that we can create new paradigms, or let me say better pathways, and to recondition our children from a lot of the societal ills that has been handed down to us. When we understand our ancestral heritage and some of the key ingredients, why they did the things that they did, why they have left us a legacy, so that we may be able to glean and to re-implement some of those values, then we can also begin to have a good life. So children are, and children are the gifts, the fruit that comes from a union. We're taught in Western society that we own our children. That is not so. The children we give birth to in our union belong to the divine, to God, the Almighty. And we are custodians. We are the caretakers who are supposed to nurture, teach them, guide them, so when they are mature enough to take care of themselves, they can journey on. you have to understand this is the most important job you will ever have in your life. No career, no material object, no attachment to things is more important than the raising of a child. The coming together of man and woman represents the union or yoking of the ancestral lines. Two people come together and they join. You say the families are joined. But greater than that are the ancestral lines, because it is through the ancestral lines children are birthed. The birth of a child is the celebration of new life coming into your family and the continuity of the ancestral line. That is why when we lose a child, the grief can be so deep, because unstated to us, we are intuitively, we understand that a great loss has taken place. And that great loss really is because the line of the ancestry has now been truncated. It has been stopped or ceased, let's say, for a period of time. In some cases, it could be hundreds of years, it could be much longer. So, we have to understand that we give birth to children, they grow, they become young people, and that throughout that whole time, if they do not make it to adulthood and have a child, then the lines are impacted. So it's very important to protect your children. Okay? It's very important to do your best to keep them safe. Children should be welcomed at all times with joy. They are ancestors returning. The belief of our Al-Kebulan ancestors, the place that many call Africa, is that true community is represented by those who have transitioned, returned to the world of spirit. We call them ancestors, meaning one who has gone before us. Community is represented by those of us who are here on earth. And community is also represented by the ancestors that are not yet born. Those who are still waiting to come into the world. So community encompasses 3 parts. And then the 4th part is the work of God through the ancestors, or as we say, through the Shepsu and the lines, in order to keep us continually growing in balance and hopefully in better harmony with each other. So community is not simply the physical world where we are attached to each other, living in a particular space. It also encompasses the world of spirit, quote unquote, the invisible world that we do not see with our 2 eyes, that we have to acknowledge. I know of many women who, before they gave birth to their child, and maybe even more than one child if they have many children, where the child would appear to them in a dream, and they would say to them, they would show themselves, for lack of a better word. Many women are also given the name of a child before it's born. Because the child, that ancestor will come to them and tell them sometimes who they are and what they're coming back into the world to do. All of us, according to our ancestral way, we've all been ancestors. Because we've come again and again into life. Children are a blessing. They are not a curse. However, we know that in these modern times, children are often not considered a blessing. I can recall having a summer arts program with our organization, Nubian Heritage Arts. And children between the ages of 9 and, let us say, 14 were a part of the program. And I can remember a 10-year-old saying to me, when I called her a gift and a blessing, she said, no, that's not true. They think of us as a pain in the rear. So she was already conditioned to not feeling truly loved and welcomed in the world. Remember, Khalil Gibran says, our children, your children are not your children. They're the sons and daughters of tomorrow. I'm paraphrasing. They belong to the divine, and each of us must do our part in order to create a quality of life for them so that they may be able to grow into maturity and become the next generation of adults who will be able to manage the planet, okay? Manage the planet, nature, and continue the progeny of future generations. Thank you for listening. We will, of course, cover some concepts, some ideas of how we need to look at the purpose and the value of children. Peace and blessings. Thank you for listening. Hetepu.